Imagine opening your fridge and seeing it stocked with all your favorite foods, but here's the twist. Not everything in there should actually be stored in the cold. Yep, that's right. Some foods can lose their flavor, texture, or even nutritional value if kept in the fridge. Surprising, right? Today, we're diving into the top 10 foods that you should never refrigerate and why. So stick around to find out how to keep these foods at their best. Let's get started. 1. Tomatoes. Let's start with tomatoes. They're juicy, flavorful, and delicious, but they're not fans of the fridge. Storing tomatoes in the refrigerator can make them lose their natural sweetness and rich taste. Why? The cold breaks down the compounds in tomatoes that are responsible for their flavor. Plus, it messes with their texture, turning them mushy instead of firm and juicy. Tomatoes are technically a tropical fruit, so they're sensitive to cold temperatures. Storing them at room temperature helps them ripen naturally, enhancing their taste. If you've ever tasted a tomato straight from the vine, you know that nothing compares to that fresh, vibrant flavor. To keep them at their best, store tomatoes stem side down on your counter and only refrigerate if they're fully ripe and you can't use them right away. Just remember to let them come back to room temperature before eating. 2. Onions. Onions are another food that prefer the counter to the fridge. When you put onions in the refrigerator, they can quickly absorb moisture, making them mushy and encouraging mold growth. Onions stored in the fridge can also absorb surrounding odors, which is why they may end up affecting the taste and smell of everything around them. Additionally, cold temperatures convert the onion's natural starches into sugar, which gives them an overly sweet flavor that doesn't work well in many recipes. Ideally, onions should be stored in a cool, dry, well-ventilated place. And here's a tip. If you've already cut an onion and need to save it, put it in an airtight container in the fridge to keep it fresh without affecting other foods. 3. Garlic. Garlic is another kitchen staple that doesn't belong in the fridge. Cold, damp environments can lead to sprouting and mold growth in garlic, which alters both its texture and taste. The cold air can also cause garlic to lose its robust, signature flavor that makes it so popular in cooking. In addition to affecting its taste, refrigerating garlic can make it rubbery or even mushy over time. The best way to store garlic is in a cool, dry place with good ventilation. Think of a mesh bag or a small open container on your counter. This way, you'll enjoy garlic that's always fresh and full of that wonderful, savory flavor. 4. Potatoes. Potatoes in the fridge? Not a good idea. When you store potatoes in the refrigerator, the cold temperatures convert the starches into sugars, which gives them an unusually sweet taste. Even worse, this process can cause the potatoes to develop a compound called acrylamide when cooked, which is potentially harmful. Potatoes do best in a dark, cool, dry place, like a pantry or cellar, where they can keep for weeks without spoiling. If you want them to last even longer, consider a paper bag rather than plastic, as it allows them to breathe and reduces moisture. By storing potatoes correctly, you'll preserve their natural flavor and avoid any unpleasant surprises when you cook them. 5. Avocados. Avocados have a special place in our hearts, and they need a special place in the kitchen too. When you refrigerate avocados, it slows down the ripening process, leaving them rock hard and tasteless. Avocados ripen best at room temperature, where they can soften and develop that creamy texture we all love. Once they're perfectly ripe, you can refrigerate them if you're not ready to eat them right away. This will slow down further ripening for a day or two. But remember, putting an unripe avocado in the fridge will only delay the process, and you'll be left waiting much longer to enjoy it. Store avocados on the counter and let nature do the rest. 6. Bananas. Bananas are tropical fruits, so they don't fare well in cold environments. When you refrigerate bananas, the cold air breaks down their cell walls, which causes the skin to turn brown while the inside may remain underripe or become mushy. Bananas ripen best at room temperature, where their natural sugars develop, giving them that familiar sweet taste. If you have ripe bananas and want to keep them a bit longer, try putting them in the fridge, but be prepared for the peel to darken. This doesn't affect the fruit inside, but it's best to eat them sooner rather than later for the best flavor and texture. 7. Bread. Ever notice that bread gets hard and stale quickly in the fridge? That's because cold temperatures cause the starches in bread to crystallize faster, resulting in a dry, tough texture. The fridge also introduces extra moisture, which can make bread soggy or even moldy. Instead, keep bread at room temperature for a few days if you plan to eat it soon. If you need to store it longer, freezing is a better option. Slice the loaf, put the slices in a sealed bag, and freeze. When you're ready to eat, just thaw a slice at room temperature or toast it for that fresh, soft texture. 8. Honey is one of the few foods that literally never spoils, so it definitely doesn't need refrigeration. In fact, putting honey in the fridge causes it to crystallize, making it gritty and difficult to pour. The cold air also thickens honey, making it harder to drizzle or spread. Honey's natural low moisture content and high acidity prevent bacteria from growing, which is why it can sit on your pantry shelf indefinitely. Keep honey in a cool, dry place, and it will maintain its smooth, pourable consistency and sweet taste. 9. Uncut melons. Refrigerating whole melons can dull their flavor and make the flesh mushy. Cold temperatures suppress the natural sugars in melons, which affects their sweetness and juiciness. If you want the best possible taste from your melons, leave them at room temperature until you're ready to cut them. Once cut, it's fine to store melon slices in the fridge for a few days. But remember to let whole melons ripen on the counter first to enjoy them at their peak flavor and texture. A ripe melon is a perfect snack, don't let the fridge take that away. 10. Olive oil. Last but not least, olive oil. While you might think the fridge would preserve its freshness, refrigerating olive oil actually causes it to solidify and turn cloudy. The cold can also lead to condensation inside the bottle, which introduces moisture and can promote bacterial growth. Instead, keep olive oil in a cool, dark place, like a pantry. Room temperature is ideal for maintaining its smooth texture and rich flavor. If you ever notice your olive oil has solidified, don't worry, it's still safe to use. Just let it sit at room temperature, and it will return to its normal state. So, there you have it. These are the top 10 foods that should stay out of the fridge if you want to enjoy their best taste, texture, and nutrients. Proper storage makes a huge difference in food quality, so keep these tips in mind next time you're organizing your kitchen. Enjoyed these tips? Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay tuned for more kitchen hacks and food storage tips. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes, the fridge isn't always the answer.